Welcome to Dungeon Academics. My name is Thomas and I will be your instructor. I had my weekly online game of Dungeons and Dragons last night, and I know that the crew I play with follow me, so if you're watching this, hi guys, great game last night, really enjoyed it. Something mathematically interesting happened in the game, something that blew us all away and really made a climactic battle really exciting. And I'd like to talk a bit about the maths involved in it because it's pretty cool if you like Dungeons and Dragons and maths, which I obviously do, and if you're watching this channel, you probably do as well. So the setup. We were trying to negotiate a peace settlement, an alliance between a town of beastfolk and a town full of gnolls. The gnolls weren't particularly keen on engaging in any form of diplomacy unless we did something for them. What they wanted was a behemoth, an enormous and deadly creature that lived in the icy mountains to the south of their town. And they wanted it brought alive for some sinister purpose, which we later found out about. We were sent south to capture a behemoth, eventually meeting a hunter along the way who joined our party just to see what craziness we got up to, and we found the behemoth's cave. This thing was an incredibly dangerous creature. It was huge, so took up 3x3 squares on a map grid. Very powerful creature. It had multi-attack with very powerful attacks, and it had two mechanics that I really like that really made the game interesting, in that it had lair actions and it had legendary actions. Quite a few legendary actions as well. Lair actions are a special bonus that a monster can get in its lair. It's an extra thing that happens on initiative past 20, and it's normally an area effect or terrain effect that can influence, affect and damage multiple characters. So dealing with a creature inside its lair is difficult. If we'd have had opportunity, perhaps we'd have tried to bring it out of its lair to fight, but unfortunately someone in the party completely fluffed a stealth check when using the message cantrip to bring up the rest of the party who hadn't gone scouting ahead. And that player was me. Yeah, I rolled a 1 on a stealth check. So I thought I can cast message to bring them up. And went, "You can come up now! The path is clear!" Immediately alerting the monster to our presence. My mistake. But the fight happened nonetheless. It was very exciting. Oh yeah, the legendary actions. Yeah, legendary actions are a really nice little bit. At the end of a player's turn, the monster can do something, be it move, make an attack, or something else. So it wasn't just limited to the 2 attacks it made in its turn, it was making attacks in other people's turn as well. That's great fun. So the fight started, and I think we did really well as a team for this, because we got Fairy Fire and we got Bless up quite early. And both of these are really useful spells that benefit other members of your party. So for example, Fairy Fire bathes a target in twinkling light. That really helped because one of our characters didn't have dark vision and this was in a dark cave. And it also gives you advantage on all attacks against that target. And against something like this behemoth, advantage on hit rolls was pretty important. We didn't quite work out what its armor class was, but we modified hit roll of 15 and 16 still hit, so it probably wasn't that well armored. But still, advantage is always useful. And the Bless gives you a D4 bonus on saving throws and hit rolls, which is always useful to have, especially since a lot of people were having to make concentration checks due to lair actions interfering with concentration spells. Okay, what happened that was nice? In our fighter's first turn, something awesome happened. We have a fighter in the party. The character is called Bull. He's this big, heavily armored, big sword swinging, tough son of a bitch. great character, really well role played, and he went up and he made his attacks. Now, we just hit level 5, so that's 2 attacks each. Crit, crit. That's very nice. Action surge, crit, crit. 4 crits in a row. We were taken aback. This is epic. And the maths of getting 4 crits is pretty impressive. So let's break this down. In order to score a critical hit in Dungeons and Dragons, you need to roll a natural 20. You have a 20-sided dice and you have to roll 20 on the dice. Adding modifiers to it, your strength modifier, your proficiency modifier, doesn't change whether it's a crit or not. It can boost the number you've rolled to over 20, but it's only a crit if the dice itself shows a 20. What are the chances of rolling 4 20s? Well, it's quite small. You have a 1 in 20 chance of each dice, and if you want to find the probability of multiple events happening, one after another, you just multiply those probabilities together. So it's 1 in 20 times 1 in 20 times 1 in 20 times 1 in 20. And if you don't fancy getting your calculator out, that's 1 in 160,000. If we'd have done that turn 160,000 times, we would expect one of them to yield 4 crits. That's approximately a 6% of 1% of 1% chance. This is a hold the phone and break out the champagne moment of luck. But this isn't what was happening here, because some other factors take into account. Firstly, Bull is a fighter, and very early on, fighters get a nice special rule that say they score a crit on a 19 or 20, not just a 20. So this dramatically changes the odds. Each attack is twice as likely to be a crit. So instead of being 1 in 20, it's 2 in 20. And 2 in 20 is the same as 1 in 10. So now 4 attacks with a 1 in 10 chance of each being a crit. 1 in 10 times 1 in 10 times 1 in 10 times 1 in 10 is 1 in 10,000. That's still only a 1% of 1% chance, but it's nearly 20 times more likely than before. So 1 in 10,000 is still pretty good, and that's worth celebrating. Except that's not it, because Fairy Fire gave the guy advantage. We also had the character also had the dark vision spell cast on him, so he can actually see what was going on. So we didn't have to worry about it being dark, and the Fairy Fire just gives advantage. The target was illuminated by its own lights. There was no source of disadvantage. How does advantage change crits? Well, this gets a little bit more complicated. With advantage, you roll 2 dice, and you pick the highest. And if either of them are a crit, then the attack is a crit. You don't get any benefit if they both come up as a crit. We don't have to worry about that. But you only need to score 1 crit on the 2 dice. And the mathematics for this is a little bit more involved. What you have to do is you have to think about what's the chance of neither of the dice being a crit. So in this case, it's a 2 in 20 chance of being a crit. That's the same as a 1 in 10 chance of being a crit. That means you have a 9 in 10 chance of not getting a critical hit. Now, both dice need to not be a crit in order for you to not score a critical hit. So you have 9 in 10 times 9 in 10. And 9 times 9 is 81, 10 times 10 is 100. That means there's an 81 out of 100, an 81% chance of not scoring a critical hit. Now, we flip that. If there's an 81% chance of not getting a crit, then there must be a 19% chance of getting a crit. 19 in 100. So now, with 4 attacks, it's 19 out of 100 times 19 out of 100 times 19 out of 100 times 19 out of 100. And the number for that works out to be approximately 1 in 767. So it's not even a 1 in 1,000 chance, 1 in 767. As a percentage, that's about 0.13%, approximately an 1/8 of a percent. Still pretty good. Not earth-shatteringly good, not drop what you're doing, buy a lottery ticket good, but still good. And in that moment, seeing 4 crits in a row come up, it felt pretty good. It felt amazing. This was the first turn of the combat, and our fighter steps forward and absolutely wails into this behemoth, taking a big chunk of hit points off it. I will say that for most of the attacks that landed, the damage rolls weren't that great, unfortunately. But with 4d6 plus something damage times 4, a big chunk of hit points was taken off it, and it made us feel really confident for the rest of the fight. The rest of the fight went really well. I was mostly Eldritch Blasting at this point because the behemoth had reach, and I wasn't that keen on getting too close to it because my character Cornelius is ultimately a squishy wizard with a tiny bit of warlock thrown in. But everyone got stuck in, everyone contributed to the fight, and eventually we managed to get it low enough on hit points that our sorcerer could cast Sleep on it. And there was a smaller behemoth, a behemoth child, which was still a large creature, which we then didn't have to fight because we were able to communicate in a way that we won't hurt its mother if it doesn't attack us. So we were able to overcome this terrible creature and finally drag it back to the Knowles encampment. It was quite hard to move. We were able to rouse it from its sleep and, again, convince it that we wouldn't kill its kid if it did what it was told. There was a lot of interpretive dance involved in that communication, but we got it through. We were told these creatures were somewhat intelligent. Ultimately, we had to drag it the last few hundred feet to the camp. The dungeon master said, "How are you going to do it? This thing weighs approximately 20,000 pounds, which I said, okay. Reduce spell made it more manageable. We could drag it all the way to the camp, and the Knolls did something barbaric and terrible with it, but we don't need to go into that. But the maths was interesting. 4 crits in 4 attacks. It's moments like this that really add excitement and flavour to a campaign. One thing I'm a big fan of is making sure that every player has their chance to be the rock star. And for our fighter Bull, just swinging that sword in 4 perfect arcs and landing 4 crits. Undeniable rockstar moment there. So that really made the fight exciting. So well done team, and well done Bull. Now, I quite like maths, in case you hadn't figured out. And when something weird like this happens, I like to run the numbers about it. The first video I made on this channel was about the fireball spell and how unlikely it was to roll maximum damage on a fireball. Yet it does happen. There was a post I saw on Reddit a few weeks ago about a guy that cast fireball in his game and rolled 8 6s. That's astronomically unlikely, but it happens. And that's the joy of using dice in a game, that they are mostly unpredictable. I say mostly because when you're rolling 8 dice together, it becomes kind of predictable. But there's still this chance of something crazy happening. And that's what makes games really exciting, when the chances come together and something amazing happens, or equally, something catastrophic happens. Me rolling that 1 on a stealth check and starting the fight early. Ultimately, that was a fun part of the game. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't want to do that. And it forced our hand into a fight that we thought was going to be more dangerous because we were in the creature's lair. But it still worked out and it was still fun. I had a great time playing last night. And I hope you enjoy your next game, whatever it may be.